Vietnam veterans looking for work in the early 1980s. The World Trade Center under construction in 1970, designed by Minoru Yamasaki. Work on the foundations began in 1966. Vespers in Montmartre, Paris, 1950. Statue of Liberty towering over Paris just before it was disassembled and shipped to New York, 1886. Sean Connery and Vanessa Redgrave during Murder on the Orient Express filming, 1974. Native American mother and child, 1902. Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio, circa 1970s. Diana Ross in her glamorous Los Angeles home during the height of her solo career in 1974. Heather Locklear and Heather Thomas in the 1980s. Grocery shopping at Kroger in 1982. Chinese Americans protesting scrap iron shipments to Japan, 1939. Slave women in chains, Zanzibar, 1865. The cast of Pulp Fiction at the Cannes Film Festival, 1994. A girl reading Ebony magazine, Chicago, 1947. A photo of a firefighter at the scene of the 911 attacks, 2001. Wreckage of the Red Baron's plane, Baron von Richthofen's Fokker 1918. Frank Sinatra surrounded by fans, C1943. A young couple takes a selfie on a self-timer on their camera, 1959. The Great Blizzard of 1888 is considered one of the worst blizzards ever recorded in American history. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor, photographer Philip Holzman, 1958. To fishermen knit their winter woolies, Ramsgate, Kent, England, 1940s. The Statue of Liberty arrives in New York City, June 17, 1885. A basket carrier at a London market, 1930. The Toll Gate Saloon in Black Hawk, Colorado, 1897. A French medallion of Napoleon Bonaparte and Tsar Alexander I embracing, made to celebrate the Treaty of Tilsit 1807. Two British paratroopers are held in custody by German soldiers in a captured British jeep, Arnhem, the Netherlands, 1944. A serviceman has some fun swapping clothes with his wife, 1943. Anita Ekberg on her bicycle, 1960. American soldier flirts with a Korean girl, Korean War, 1950s. Japanese soldiers and Chinese children playing with toy tanks in Nanking, December 20, 1937. Batak mask dance during a celebration of the dead, circa 1930. Family on relief living in Shanty on the city dump, Herrin, Illinois, 1939. Photo by Arthur Rothstein. A taxi rank for white people, 1967. Train passengers wearing masks to protect themselves from the Spanish flu, 1918-1920. McDonald's menu, circa 1973. Singapore, Michael Jackson performs, 1993. Epic soccer battle of priests during lunchtime in Barcelona, 1960s. Victorian women who never cut their hair, 1885. Clarence Anglin, John Anglin, and Frank Morris escaped from Alcatraz, June 1962. McDonald's introduces the Big Mac in Life magazine, October 31, 1969. Sullivan wasted time with Beatles. Review of the Beatles when they first appeared on U.S. television, 1964. The first ever airplane Wright Flyer, December 17, 1903. The U.S. 31st Infantry Regiment arrives in Shanghai to safeguard the city's international settlement during clashes between Chinese and Japanese forces in 1932. Wedding invitation from 1929. Detroit's Mark Twain Library, closed in 1996 for renovations but never reopened. Greece, Thessaloniki children welcome and carry the equipment of French soldiers who have just arrived in 1916. An Australian soldier calls on a Japanese soldier to surrender, who puts a grenade up to his head. In response, the grenade detonated moments later. Papua New Guinea, 1942. Deposed Ottoman Sultan Mehmed VI leaves for exile the 17th of November 1922. Mother and Children, 1900. It's nice to know that over 145 years ago people were taking silly pictures of their pets. 1875. Jean-Claude Van Damme and his iconic kick. 1980s. Buzz Aldrin, first self-portrait in space. 1966. American actress Maud Feely at around 20 years old in 1903. Students dance in Tiananmen Square before the arrival of the Chinese military on June 4, 1989. The Dornier Du-X, the world's largest flying boat that could barely get off the ground. 1929-1933. Davis Devon, the 1948 three-wheeled ultimate car of the future. The Empire State Building was a quickly completed project, starting March 17, 1930, and it was opened May 1, 1931. More than 30 people have attempted suicide over the years by jumping from the upper parts of the building, with most attempts being successful. Photo shoot early 1900s, toddlers changing emotions. The photo was taken on board a British ship. These children had just been rescued from being sold into slavery. 1868. Halftime in a football match. England, 1920. Wiener Zeitung. Viennese Daily is a daily newspaper from Vienna, Austria. Oldest newspaper in the world still in circulation. Photo from 1799. A personal Z from 1896 looking for eligible English noblemen or distinguished Americans. Rare photograph of Marilyn Monroe without makeup. 1955. Dancers in a nightclub play chess. Smartphones haven't been invented yet. New York, 1958. Letter written by a commander during Greek Civil War. English writer Agatha Christie in Paris, France, in 1906. A group camping in the 1920s with a tent trailer kitchen. DeLachner's experimental aerobike, not adopted in 1956 in the United States because it was unsafe for the pilot. The Apple Macintosh computer goes on sale. 1984. Olive Oatman. September 7, 1837. March 21, 1903 was a white American woman who was enslaved for 5 years and later released by Native Americans in the Mojave Desert region. When she was a teenager, she was the first known white woman with a native tattoo on record. Family car repair. 1940s. Civil War veteran Yakov Miller lived with an open gunshot wound on his forehead. Two liquidators measuring radiation in a field near Chernobyl sometime around 1986-1987. Dutch cyclist Piet van Kempen takes a break between races, pictured at Wembley Velodrome during the six-day race. 1936. Miners at the Tillmanstone Mine, Kent, USA, 1930.